Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we're going to be talking about the future of The Mandalorian, a potential new spin-off series and more. As always my dear Megalorians, before we dive into it, please may I ask you to hit that big red subscribe button if you've not done so, and also be sure to give that bell a good old tickle to be alerted each and every time that I post a new video. We are on the road for 100,000 subscribers, thank you all so much for your support. But without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. So after the recent rumour that Star Wars only reported on that The Mandalorian Season 3 is only going to have 3 seasons, a bunch of news outlets and leakers have started to respond. Amongst these is Jordan Mason, who is well known for his leaks and close ties to people at Lucasfilm. According to him, he has not heard about it ending at Season 3 and always heard that The Mandalorian is going to be 4 seasons. But nonetheless, apparently there is a definite end planned. He went on to say that when The Mandalorian does end, it's going to morph into a brand new spin-off show that sticks with the same characters and time period, but under a different name. So essentially, the main show The Mandalorian is going to end eventually, but the stories of Din Djarin, Bo-Katan and the other main characters are going to continue in a new series. The reason for this is likely because by the time of the final season of The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni will have told the story that they needed to in that show. The only reason they would need a new spin-off under a different name is because the show is going to change focus. Some outlets like CBR picked up on this and speculated that it could be a series much less focused on Mandalorian issues and more on a new threat that the galaxy faces, and more specifically a threat that Din Djarin faces. By the time of The Mandalorian Season 4, which is when Jordan Mason thinks the show is going to end, we're going to be much closer to the sequel trilogy and the rise of the First Order than to Return of the Jedi. As such, it makes sense to complete the Imperial Remnant story in The Mandalorian and use a new series to show us Din Djarin's adventures after this era, and much nearer the time of The Force Awakens. After all, we did get a rumour a few months ago that Lucasfilm are planning to make Mando meet a young Rey further down the timeline. And don't worry, I'm very aware of just how unpopular this is. So now let's take a look at what CBR had to say. A new rumour claims that Star Wars series The Mandalorian will run for 4 seasons, but then it might change name and focus. While Season 3 of The Mandalorian has yet to be released, Cinelink's editor Jordan Mason took to Twitter to clear up another rumour about the Disney Plus Star Wars show, specifically that it's going to end after the upcoming 3rd season. According to Jordan Mason, a 4th season is actually in the works, but following its conclusion, the show will undergo a serious change. Mason continued by saying that Season 3 will up the scale, something Season 2 teased with the conclusion of Luke Skywalker. Back in 2020, Moff Gideon actor Giancarlo Esposito also teased a 4th season, although it is believed at the time he thought the Book of Boba Fett was going to be Season 3. Knowing all that, and given the show's current popularity, it's hard to imagine it disappearing anytime soon. But the question is, could it really change its name and will it be a spin-off? While plenty of shows, especially animated ones, add subtitles for new seasons to highlight a specific story arc, the idea that a hit show like The Mandalorian would completely change name while focusing on the same characters seems like a really odd and risky move. And just to jump in here guys, I think CBR are missing the point. It's going to be a spin-off show and not the same show. So while it is going to focus on Din Djarin, Bo-Katan and all of the main characters of The Mandalorian, it's not going to be the exact same title. There have also been rumours that a new show is going to see Luke train Grogu and Luke Skywalker will have his own spin-off. Maybe The Mandalorian is going to include some of those elements, further widening its story and necessitating a new name. However, as of now, this is just a rumour. Now, to be completely honest guys, I think that whenever The Mandalorian does end, whether that's Season 3 or 4, they are going to continue the story with the same beloved characters. They're not getting rid of Grogu, they're not getting rid of Mando. For one thing, those characters and the series on the whole is way too profitable for Disney to not carry on in some capacity. I also want to say that logistically, before it comes to an end, 4 seasons makes way more sense than just 3. For one thing, we've just spent 2 entire seasons where Mando has been on a mission to deliver Grogu to the Jedi. We never focus solely on Mando and his journey, which seems like something they're going to explore now that Grogu is gone. New tensions, character development, and how he makes his way through the galaxy without the child is going to be fascinating. But do bear in mind, it's definitely not the last we've seen of Grogu. He's such a fan favourite and a complete cash cow for Disney. Eventually, and let's be honest, he is going to reunite with Mando, but it's it's probably going to be in season 4. And this brings me on to another good reason why it makes no sense to have just 3 seasons. Grogu is off training with Luke, and we probably will see Grogu in other series as well, but we're probably not going to get any Baby Yoda in season 3, at least in the first part of the season, and then in season 4 they will reunite. We also must consider that now that Din Djarin has the dark saber, just one more season is cutting it way too short, unless of course they plan to pace it very differently like a final season. But then I wonder why they wouldn't have advertised season 3 as the final season of the show. Maybe they still will, there's plenty of time and filming is only just beginning this month. So when trailers start dropping for the series next year, we might find out if it's the last season. I guess that time will tell, but I've changed my mind a little bit. I'm leaning more towards 4 seasons. As for a potential new spin-off series after season 4 is done, I'm excited for whatever comes our way in that regard. Since we are a long way away from that coming out, it's really pointless to speculate, but what is clear is that it's going to have a completely different feel to The Mandalorian, and it's most likely going to be based in a much later point in the timeline. I wholeheartedly trust Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni with the way that they handle Star Wars, and I think they have really huge plans for where this is all leading. It's not limited to just The Mandalorian and its spin-offs. I think their end goal is to create a giant web that overlaps into the sequel era. And if they go that route, I'm hoping they give us a much more positive outlook on the sequels and make some aspects of that make a lot more sense. Personally, I doubt they're going to directly interact with those stories in the last trilogy, but it does seem like they're setting up the framework for the creation of Snoke and the Final Order, and they're going to make us see those movies in a much brighter light. But moving away from the sequels, even in the post-Return of the Jedi timeline, there is so much to explore, especially what we got in the Bad Batch finale, and now that we know that Grand Admiral Thrawn is coming back, it seems as though they're trying to implement elements of the Zahn Trilogy into live action, and this could see the recanonization of many elements of Heir to the Empire. When you combine that with Rebels characters like Sabine Wren and Ezra Bridger who are making their way into live action, there is way too much to explore in The Mandalorian and its spin-offs like the Book of Boba, Ahsoka and Rangers of the New Republic. So it does make sense that they are going to create more shows after The Mandalorian to tell a new story with the same characters and other characters who are around at this point in the timeline. But what do you guys think of all of this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think we're getting more spin-offs after The Mandalorian? And how many seasons do you think the show's going to have? I've changed my mind a little bit and I'm leaning more towards 4 seasons. It seems to make a little bit more sense than just 3. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're brand new and a huge welcome if you are. Before I go, my dear Megalorians, I want to plug in the fact that I have some new merch. Apart from the wide array of t-shirts that you can get, which include the Dark Side Meg shirt, the Darth Plagueis quote shirt, my Mando shirts and much more, I now have an exclusive Mega Mug, which comes in a variety of 15 colours. Use the code GIVEMEMUG for 15% off the mugs as well as the entire merch store. The link is down there in the description down below, but otherwise my dear friends, this is where we part ways. I'm Star Wars Meg wishing you all a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.